Hello, podcast land. Thunder Underground is back, and we have another episode of greatness. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent.
And this week, we have a great interview with SOiL. We are actually doing our own version of Heavy Metal Parking Lot right now. We just interviewed SOiL. We're in Joplin, getting ready to go in for the big SOiL show tonight. So here we go. We figured, let's just do the intro and let's bring it to you guys right now.
Yeah, we talked to Tim King and Ryan McCombs from SOiL, as you said. But before we get into all that, we wanted to play a track for you from a band called Omicida. And this is a thrash metal band out of Los Angeles.
Yes.
And do you want to talk about them now or when we come back?
Let's get into the song. Let's play in the song and we'll talk a little bit about them.
Okay. Well, this is, like I said, Omicida, and it is called Disobey. Once again, that was called Disobey by Omicida out of Los Angeles. Thrash metal, new thrash metal at its finest, I would say.
I think so. Yes. There is a review of their whole album, Certain Death, on our website. Check it out.
thethunderunderground.com.
Yes. These guys harken back to the old school thrashy, you want to fucking get your skateboard out, Anthrax, Overkill, Exodus. This is just raw thrash, and there's nothing better than that. When you break it down, it's just got attitude, joy to have on the podcast, and we hope to see big things from these guys.
Yeah, it features former members of White Wizard and Devil You Know.
Yes.
Which, if you're not familiar with either of those bands, do check them out. I know White Wizard isn't around anymore, but they've got great stuff. We were fans of these guys.
Yes.
for a long time. And Devil You Know, of course, is the new band featuring Howard Jones from formerly of Killswitch Engage, and that's another great band. But that's not what we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about thrash metal, and like you said, this is. I mean, it harkens back to it, and it's, because a lot of times I'm always leery about new thrash bands. That might sound weird, but I've always been leery about listening to a new thrash band because it's like a lot of times it doesn't come off right, and it just sounds like someone's trying too hard. But these guys sound like they know what they're doing. They sound like they were fans of the genre when they were growing up, and they're putting this out there, and it sounds great.
That's right. You bring up a great point about a lot of bands sound like they're trying too hard. And you see that a lot because, retro is in, retro anything is in, retro thrash or, retro fucking TV shows or whatever is in. And a lot of times you're right. It comes off over the top or trying too hard, but not here. These guys do it right. They do it well. And, it's just speedy, old school with, new school vibe, and it works. I've got a tall boy bush right here, and I raise it up to him because this is a great song.
It's pronounced Omicida, but it is spelled Omicida.
Yes.
So look these guys up on Facebook and on Twitter, and give them a like and a follow, and check out their album Certain Death. It's an EP, I think. It's only got 7 tracks, but it's all 7 tracks are great. And there's a video for the track we just played on YouTube.
Yes.
Which is good as well.
That's right. All killer, no filler. You guys are going to love this. Check it out.
Yeah. And speaking of all killer, no filler, you wanted to speak about the new Saxon album, right?
Yes. New Saxon album is out. It's called Battering Ram. I am a huge Saxon fan. I will also be the first to admit I am a late bloomer on Saxon. I really didn't get into them until maybe the mid-2000s, I just knew that they were a band that had been around, they were always kind of like, in the same conversation as the Iron Maidens and the Judas Priests and the Motorheads. But they never really, I think they're way bigger overseas than in the U.S., which probably was a reason I never really got around to them until I, got older and got a lot of the bullshit of my 20s out of the way, as I like to say. And, it's just classic, anthem metal that, really hits to your core. And nowadays they are, to me, the same level as Iron Maiden or Judas Priest. I probably listen to them more. And this new album is it's insane. You've got Battering Ram, the single, or the lead track. There's a song called Kingdom of the Cross, which is just epic as epic gets. It sets a tone. And it's just one of those songs. It could be in video games and movies. And I just see, this band should be so much more accepted over here. And, it's just, it's almost criminal. There's a great song called 3 Sheets to the Wind. It's fun. It's a drinking song. These guys never disappoint with their meat and potatoes metal. You know what you're going to get, and it's just going to be fist pumping. It's going to take you back to 1981. But it's not going to be, contrived or, it's not going to be too thought out. It's just what they do, and it comes off perfect.
Yeah, and these guys they've consistently put out new albums over the last decade, and they've all been high quality.
Yeah, the production is stellar, and the songs, it just gets better and better. Yeah. And a lot of bands get worse and worse as they, as the years roll by.
Right.
And these guys don't. Biff Byford's voice is just, as amazing as it was in, 1980. It's insane.
Yeah, and we've seen him live twice now over the past,
Yes.
8 years, 7 years, and his voice sounds excellent live. The band sounds as top of the line as you're going to see a heavy metal band sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing that you mentioned is we saw them in a little tiny club with Fozzy in Oklahoma City, maybe 100 people there. They could easily go to Europe and headline a festival with 40,000 people. But they came to the States, and it didn't matter how many people were there. They put on an amazing show. They spared no expense, and they didn't half-ass it one bit. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've listened to part of the album the other day, but I haven't finished it. I need to get on this. Because,
Yes, you do.
like I said, all the recent stuff has all been excellent. No, all killer, no filler, like you said.
That's right.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention on a kind of different note, I've been listening a lot to the new Backyard Babies CD.
Nice.
Or not CD, the album, whatever you want to call it these days. And that's another band that kind of goes under a lot of people's radars in America. And they've never really...
for sure.
A lot, because they've never really had any real success here.
Yeah. Now, did we see them with Social Distortion?
Yeah, they opened.
Okay.
Yeah, in around 2006 or something,
Yes.
maybe?
Yeah, you are definitely more the authority than I am, for sure.
Well, yeah, I'd really got into them pretty heavy not long before that, in the past year or two before that. Mm-hmm. Early to mid 2000s, and got all, I think at that point they had three albums maybe. And, I got them all and just wore it out listening to it constantly, and fell in love with it, and then got the chance to see them when they opened for Social Distortion, and that's really the only chance I've ever had, because they haven't come anywhere near close since then. And this new album, 4x4, is actually the first new album since, I think, 2007.
Really?
Or no, 4x4. And, it's full of great songs, 13 or Nothing. The song Piracy, is like this huge kind of melodic anthem, and these guys are kind of they're a Swedish band. It's kind of that, Swedish sleaze that Michael Monroe, perfected.
Yes.
And these guys kind of follow in that footsteps, but they still have more of a punk. It's kind of somewhere between, Rancid and Michael Monroe, and a little tinge of that Social Distortion sound, and maybe even like some glam, Faster Pussycat kind of sound, all mixed together.
Yeah.
And just kind of makes this sleazy, good time rock and roll. I say check this out if you're into anything I just mentioned, because you would love this.
You can't go wrong with Michael Monroe, Rancid, Social Distortion.
Right.
That's 3 prongs of greatness right there.
Right. Yeah, well.
And what's that album called again?
4x4.
Okay. People need to check that out.
Yes. Do we have any other new stuff we wanted to mention before?
I don't know. We did have a little bit of music news.
Oh, that's right.
Which is, again, kind of going a different direction, but that's what we like to do here. We'll touch on this kind of rock, that kind of metal, so.
Yeah, if this is your first time listening, we cover everything.
We don't discriminate.
From melodic death metal to glam metal.
That's
it doesn't
right.
matter.
Why not? Fuck it.
Well, yeah, so you're listening to this. Would have been several days ago, maybe a week ago at this point, that Avenged Sevenfold announced that their new drummer, which that's kind of became a theme, who their new drummer is, right?
Yeah.
Since the Rev died, is Brooks Wackerman.
Yeah. Definitely.
Who, to your average fan, that just sounds like a dude with a weird name, or a great name for a drummer, right?
Yeah.
Wackerman. But, from us being music geeks since we were kids, we've known this guy since we were 15?
Yeah, we know it all too well. And
Or 16, maybe?
Of course, Avenged Sevenfold is a very polarizing band. there's people that are going to listen to this and turn it off, and there's people that are going to listen to this and love Avenged Sevenfold.
Don't turn it off, because Ryan McCombs is funny. And
Yes,
Tim King,
you're going to love what's coming, but
and Tim King has a lot of great info.
and I'm in the middle. I can't really hang my hat on Avenged Sevenfold. They've got a lot of great riffs, a lot of great songs, but at the same time, I don't get that jazzed about them. But I don't hate them, and I don't hate them a lot as much as a lot of people do. But for me, it's good to see. Brooks Wackerman is a guy that went from, he started at Bad for Good with Danny Cooksey and Steve Vai being the producer, which is a very heavily, I think, a melodic rock, maybe a glam thing, and then thrown into the world of Infectious Grooves and Suicidal Tendencies, which led to Bad Religion. And now he's totally switching gears again to something like Avenged Sevenfold. And I think a lot of people would be scratching their heads, but to me it makes total sense. And if anyone listened to the official announcement on Talk is Jericho, which is Chris Jericho's podcast, he even mentioned he wanted to get back to something more intricate, a little bit more rock, metal. And, my instincts were right. And, there's people that are like, well, he was in Bad Religion. How can he do all those fills, and how can he do everything in, Avenged Sevenfold? Believe me, this guy can fucking do it. This guy's an amazing drummer. He could just go out and do clinics. Just cause he did Bad Religion, which is just a straight up punk thing, don't think he can't play. His brother, was Frank Zappa's drummer. So, it's in this guy's blood. And I think that, he's just, wanting to do some different stuff. And, he's going to have a big audience to play to. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah, it's cool to see a guy like that that's been doing it for, 25 years almost. When Bad for Good started, I think he was, 15 or something?
Yeah, 15 or 16, something like that.
And that was, 93?
Yeah.
92, 93?
Yep. And Bad for Good, was a band that we loved. I think the record that they put out was great. The lyrics were a little corny.
Right.
But, whatever. And I'm pretty sure the whole thing was probably written by Steve Vai, which is probably why I liked it so much. But at the time, I thought it was a great record.
Yeah. But yeah, he went from that, and that's coming up on 25 years ago now. And, he's been in the music business. He's had success, playing with bands that we know, but they weren't huge mainstream bands,
Yeah.
Bad Religion and the Mike Muir stuff has never had a huge mainstream success.
Yeah.
And now he's in a band that is huge globally, playing sold out arenas, basically.
Yeah.
Headlining
Bad
festivals.
Religion can go play anywhere in the world.
Well, that's true. But it's clubs. And that's successful. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's cool to see a guy go from that kind of middle ground to a band that's, pretty high up there.
Yeah.
And, this far into his career. So.
Well, instead of headlining Kane's Ballroom, he's going to be headlining, festivals now.
Yeah. Speaking of Kane's Ballroom, the last time I saw this band that we're about to talk about was at Kane's Ballroom. I think it was 9 or 10 years ago.
Really?
Or no, maybe even more than that. 2004, maybe.
Okay.
I think they were on the Redefine tour, and they were opening for Shinedown. I guess that was it. Have you seen them before?
I don't know if I've seen them before.
Did you go to that Ozfest they played?
I don't know. I might have. Back then, everything gets so... everything gets so sketchy.
Right.
Those people back there are going off to do something messed up. We're in the parking lot drinking beers of the SOiL show, and there's some metal people going back into the woods, probably to release bodily fluids or put stuff in their body.
Right.
But anyways.
That girl's keeping watch on
Yes, and the girl's watching. But anyways, we are here for SOiL. We just did an interview with him.
Up. He was peeing.
There you go.
Inside
Anyways,
info from the back parking
you are
lot
getting
of venue 3405.
You are getting the narrative. This is podcast magic, Trent.
Right. Sorry, now that I lost my train of thought. we're at, again, SOiL. This band came onto my radar whenever they hit the mainstream with Halo. And I got Scars, and it's a phenomenal, just straight up hard rock, heavy metal. You know, they came out towards the end of the whole new metal phase, but to me, they kind of set themselves above it.
Yeah,
kinda
well,
like
they are above it.
Like a Seven Dust did, you know, where it's like, it's got elements of that, but it's also got that groove metal feel to it. And just like Seven Dust, it's got vocals that set itself apart from other bands.
I agree.
And, of course, writing that set itself apart.
Yeah.
You know, all their songs are extremely well written. They've had, you know, 3 major label. I don't know if Hole is considered a major label. I don't know what label that was on, but like, you know, 3 albums that are on everybody's radar with Ryan, and then Throttle Junkies early on. But these guys, like we mentioned earlier, all killer, no filler. There's nothing there that shouldn't be there. Like every song is well crafted. Every song is well written.
Yeah.
They get stuck in your head, you know, like every song you listen to, you know, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I like that we've said all killer, no filler a lot.
Yeah.
I think it would be a hashtag or a t-shirt or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Never. But I agree. And I too, I don't like that, you know, they did come around in that era, but, you know, I think it's shitty that people lump them in with new metal. I think that's bullshit, and they transcend that a little bit, you know? Let's just get down to it. You know, there's melody, there's catchiness, there's just talent. Let's take a song like Need to Feel, which is, I mean, it's so wide open, and it's so just airy. That to me is, you know, what I think I would like. That's like that's an older song, but it's like the future of like heavy music. It's where it should go, or where bands that came out of that era should have went. And I think that's just it's such a landmark song that no one really ever, you know, that didn't really get its just due. You know, and I think if you look at Hole, their latest album, Hate Song, that's amazing. That's one everyone can relate to, and everyone can sing to somebody. And, you know, it's just, you know, why isn't that on the airwaves? It's just, it's a travesty, really.
Right. You know, I always love the fact that I wanted to mention or bring this up and kind of ask him about it, but I forgot to, about his, you know, his vocal style, and how he fits lyrics into stuff, because, you know, he's got that real kind of, like a lot of the verses will be real punchy, you know, and quick.
Yeah.
And then the chorus will be just like, you know, like I said, wide open and anthemic. You know?
Yeah.
And not every song's like that, but that's kind of a trademark thing. You know, when you think of SOiL, you think of that kind of, you know, pounding kind of hit vocal style, you know, with the guitars and the beat, you know, and then it goes into a chorus that's going to get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's kind of the things that set him apart from me. And, you know, other than that, it's cool to be able to finally get to see him again and to be able to talk to him and, you know.
Oh yeah.
Great dudes, you know.
Yeah, they were really nice guys. You know, they were really, like I say in a lot of these, they were telling, they gave us, you know, some good stories and some good info. You know, you had to be defiant from the start, and, you know, John Corabi Motley Crue album is my favorite. Right. You know, yeah, put us in a bad light right from the get-go. Thanks, Trent.
Right. Well, so you don't know Tim King's favorite band is Motley Crue, so I figured, you know, I'd wear the John Corabi shirt to see if I could elicit, you know, a good reaction or a bad reaction, because you know that album polarizes some people, but usually if you're a Motley Crue fan, you like it. Yep. But not everybody agrees with me and says it's the greatest thing since the dawn of time.
Well, and, you know, Trent had to go be a dick right off the bat.
I wasn't a dick about it. I don't know if that's going to make the cut. You know, we'll find out.
We'll see.
You know, but
we'll see. Well, if it doesn't, you got the inside scoop right here.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into this interview, and we hope you guys like it.
Yeah, let's get into this right now.
Yeah, we're kind of, we're sitting here right now. We got, 2016 is the 15th anniversary of Scars, and we want to do something for it, and we're not sure what yet. So while we're still game planning and throwing around some song ideas and stuff, we're just, we got those little demons in us that need to go out and have a little fun, have a little bit of showtime and stuff. So, so that's what these weekends are for us. Not only get out there and see the people that give us a job to do, but also remind us that we can have fun around each other too. So.
Right. Definitely. So are you working on a new album, or are you focusing on the 15th anniversary type thing, or?
Kind of doing a little of everything. We're just kind of seeing where songs get us, and get a muffler.
Interview over here.
Yeah, we're just. We've been throwing around some ideas, and then the 15th anniversary of Scars is, like Ryan said, coming up, and we're just kind of taking our time with it. We went pretty nonstop for 2 years on the last record, Hole, and it's still new to some people in some people's heads, even though it is 2 years old. So we'll take our time. And nowadays, it's so weird with music. You don't have to force an album down the pipeline like you used to. So
right.
Maybe we'll do a couple of songs or a cover of something, or maybe tie in some songs with a video. We've been throwing all kinds of ideas around. Even redoing some old songs and stuff like that too.
The industry's so different. You got to kind of think about what's going to work today. So that's a big part of it too. What it is basically is we all have a lot of ideas, and we'll kick around these ideas and we'll throw them at each other until about the moment that somebody gets sick of it and books some studio time, and then it'll be like, assholes, studio 2 days from now. And then we'll do an album. So.
Yeah, we'll have it all done in 2 days. That's kind of the way we always work. If we're not under pressure, there's really...
Yeah.
Well,
even if we have 2 months, we'll wait.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people work best under pressure,
Yeah, my ex-wife said I never did, but according to her, I never really worked well ever here. But hey,
well.
How do you guys? I know you write all the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys handle the writing? Do you write together or write separate? Kind of like you said, the ideas.
Kind of a combination.
I think
bring them together. And
I think the neatest thing about the band being back together. A lot of people say, well, it isn't all of the original pieces. But as far as SOiL goes, as songs and the songs of SOiL, it's not to be a jerk, but it's the important pieces. It's every single song, whether it was Tim's riffs or whether it was a riff that one of the other guys would come up with, all the songs pass through Adam at some point. So as long as Adam's there musically, you got a big chunk of it. And then the other person that was really responsible for more than just a riff here and there, and that would be like a song, actually coming up with a song and presenting it to the band, was Tim. So we have the life of SOiL musically is right here between Tim and Adam. And then I always did the lyrics were always mine, and if I ever did have a stumbling point, I could always turn to these guys and go, I got nothing. and even if it was just one of them kind of humming a tune to me, like what I'm hearing is Sleep With Your Mom, and I'd be like, I got it. And I would go sing something that didn't have anything to do with my mom, and it would be really good. So it's cool. So we have the important parts. So I'm not sure if I strayed away from the question at all.
No,
but
it kind of goes into what when you guys had lost your the guitar player, you didn't get a new one, and I guess that's why. And,
Well, it was a lot more than that. It was, we always wanted to be a 4-piece to begin with.
Okay.
It just kind of happened that we became a 5-piece, and when all that went to crap and he left, or however you spin it, it was like, man, we can be a 4-piece again, and we don't need this
Yeah.
this piece, and there's more room on stage. There's one less opinion, one less flight, one less person to pay out, and it worked just fine without them. So that's why we kept it that way.
Exactly.
Well, and we wanted to be more like your classic rock bands. When you think of bands, classic rock bands, a lot of them is a 4-piece plug and play bands. Like Aerosmith and AC/DC.
Those are 5.
I wasn't gonna.
Like
I was actually sitting there going, "What 5-piece bands can I throw out there?" See if anybody's paying attention to a damn thing coming out of my mouth right now.
like the Who and Zeppelin and Rolling Stones.
And Motley Crue band.
Motley Crue.
I heard Eddie Murphy played with them at one point in time.
Motley Crue?
I don't know.
No.
That would be bad.
Yeah, it would be.
When you guys were going into record hole, how did you end up working with Will Hunt?
I had been friends with Will forever, and we kind of had when Ryan came back, we kind of decided that we weren't going to have like a full-time drummer that was in the band, that we would make a full-fledged member.
I hate him.
Because we just figured, the three of us back together, why do we need to cut in anyone else, especially a drummer? So we just went through some friends
You guys
and
play
stuff.
drums?
No. Yeah, so you're
Fuck
good.
those guys.
You're good.
And Will is just one of the most phenomenal rock drummers out there. And he had been like, who's all playing on this new record? I know it's you, Adam, and Ryan. And I'm like, oh, well, we haven't quite figured out who's going to play drums. He's like, I'm in. I want to do it. And then he just came in and in 2 days just laid down all the tracks. And he's his own words, where I'll come and I'll add some turbo to the tank, and boy, did he ever. He actually got those things down, and he laid that foundation that just made the whole rest of the process. Like, all of a sudden, the bass was done, the guitars were done, Ryan was sailing through vocals. It just came together so fast because that beautiful foundation was laid. And, previous albums, we would just sit in there for weeks upon weeks waiting for the drums to get done, and you just be like, oh God, you lose your momentum. You're just like, is this record fucking finished? You're already burnt on the record before it's even time for you to play, and we didn't have it that time around. So
You listen to drums so much. Period. And I was done listening to drums about a week into Scars. In 2001.
There's still 2 more weeks to go.
In 2001, and I've been over it ever since. But
And they're such drama queens.
the drama queens, and the funny thing about them is chances are they don't know what they're being dramatic about. Because they're not the sharpest pencils in the box. They're just...
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He did it again.
I wanted to ask you about the Redefine, Rediscovered EP. Like, how did the Minister remix come about? Did you guys approach
with that,
him, or
Sony Music just started putting... I guess it was a cry to sop up any kind of income they possibly can.
Oh, okay. One of those things.
Because it's just like all of a sudden there's like an influx of all this stuff that got shot around. I remember that Ministry thing was, we were on tour playing Rock 'em Ring, Rock 'em Park in Germany. And Al Jourgensen said, I'd love to... Well, I think he drugged me and our old guitar player and put something in the wine. And because I came off the bus and I was throwing up all over the place, and Chad from Mudvayne had to carry me into the bus. But we had talked about him remixing something. He remixed it. We turned it into the label, and the label said, well, we're not too thrilled with it, and they threw it in the vault.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when the Scars expanded edition came out, that song Damaged You was sitting in the vault and got thrown on there. So,
That's great.
and then those acoustic sessions were recorded at Dimebag's house.
Really?
And Vinnie Paul produced them, yeah.
Wow.
And those were done, again, turned into the label and went into the vault. And we were originally going to put out a deluxe
The vault's
edition
the
of
industry's way to say
Redefine.
trash can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later on, you're like, whoa, when did this even come out?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they didn't tell you guys.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I was getting text messages, and it's up on Spotify and all that.
This kicks
and-
ass. What kicks ass?
This
What
is
are we talking about?
this is a re-release of Redefine with those songs on it?
No, it's just like it's just like all these songs that never came out.
No.
It was like
And
two
the funny
acoustic
thing about
tracks.
it is, I mentioned when they did the expanded edition of Scars, I said they're like, we have to go in, we're going to pull the Scars record, and they call it Out of the Vault.
Yeah.
And there were all these tapes, and he's like, there's this song Damaged You here, and there's this Japanese track, The Center, and blah blah blah. And And I'm like, there's got to be more in there. And he was pulling, like, well, why don't we do a deluxe edition or Redefine, or why don't you do this? And I was talking to the Sony rep, and then he got fired. And then down the line, it's just like stuff came out with it. There's like a Redefine EP out with the 4 of us on there from an old photo shoot that we scrapped.
Not the first guy that Tim's gotten fired.
But yeah, it was.
Tell your boss he's an asshole. He got
like,
fired.
I mean, it's just like there's all kinds of like stuff just floating on. I mean, Sony Music owns all that, so we have no control over it.
Okay.
It's insane.
Well, you mentioned Spotify, and your top 5 songs on Spotify have almost 16 million clicks. So, what are your thoughts on?
You want to hear it? I'll give you the story on that.
We probably made about $5 off that.
You're pretty much right. Because I work at a record label, and in a quarter on Spotify, we had 455,000 streams of like our catalog combined over just like a little quarter or whatever, and the check that came in was for $1,200.
Good.
So do the math. It's pathetic, and that's what's killing the music right now.
The free SOiL picture was freaking hilarious.
Which one?
The
Free SOiL, right?
Oh, man.
I think Tim found that. Yeah.
I laughed out loud, and I mean it's fucking true.
It's
the way
It's
that
very
goes.
frustrating because I mean it's a dual-edged sword. I mean the internet has given us so many avenues, social media wise, to keep in contact and to get in contact with the people that give us a job to do. You know, the people that come to the shows and support the music and everything. So it's like great for that, and it's become even greater for that, and it's becoming every day it's a little bit greater for that. But the same guy. But it's also kicked the life out of the industry. I mean, you know, we've been lucky enough to have great, focused, supportive fans that have kept us around in our old age here. But what that's allowed us to do is we can look back and look at what the industry was like, you know, years ago when we got started. And it's different than it was 5 years ago, let alone 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And like it or not, that has to do with the fact that it's not a coincidence that there used to be stores that sold nothing but music. And then all of a sudden, Target and Walmarts and Best Buys took over being the CD sellers. And those Karmas and Music Lands went away. They were way of the dinosaur. And then all of a sudden now, those stores, their music sections are like 5 CDs.
Yeah.
And now there's nothing. It's everybody buys streaming music, and you have to be a music fan and really look for a CD nowadays. It seems like, and that's not just coincidence. That's if you make a widget for a living, nobody's buying that widget. No reason to make that widget anymore. You know, the people that are employing you to make that widget, they're looking for something else to manufacture now because that widget's not selling anymore. And so making CDs nowadays isn't necessarily maybe not the, yes, what we were talking about earlier, trying to figure out the best way for the next SOiL, what direction to go in. We need to think about that. What is the best way? Because making that widget, not necessarily the greatest, you know, the smartest way to go these days. So what's the best way for us to come up with a way to get that widget in people's hands and it not be the traditional widget? You know?
And the CD's almost a merch item now is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the digital streaming thing. I mean,
yeah.
You look at it.
I do.
Back in the day, you had a Case Logic or a CD holder filled with CDs. You had to carry that around. It's bulky, you know, on an environment type thing. It's making plastic, cutting down trees, the whole thing. Then all of a sudden you came out with the MP3, but you had to buy it and download it on your device, whether it be an iPod or an iPhone, and that took up all the storage. All of a sudden you have to buy more storage. The streaming, you pay a subscription, you have it right there. It doesn't take up any storage, doesn't take up any space. It's in thin air, and you have a music library of maybe a million or hundreds of thousands of songs. So I get the appeal. I even like the appeal to it.
Yeah.
The problem is the artists aren't getting paid on it. The record labels aren't getting paid on it. The only people that are getting paid on it is Spotify and like the majors because they were in bed with Spotify. Exactly. So it kind of leaves it to where we get it, but if you continue to want people to make music and quality music, how much longer can you continue to
make
do
the widget?
Yeah, you have to either get a day job to make music, or you have to be able to tour and sell merch and make revenue in order to get that music to people, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Joe didn't quit your favorite band of the last 3 months because he wanted to go home and sell shoes again. Joe had to quit the band because there was no money in doing the band thing anymore. And that's just, we're lucky enough that we made a name for ourselves at a point in time to where we still have a strong fan base from then. We still gaining more people over the years, but they still support us unbelievably, and it's amazing. So we're lucky enough to come from an era where a lot of those people still want the CDs. But there's a lot, I'm getting off subject, but there are a lot of people that they get frustrated, and I've heard them gripe that, oh, have you heard this new band? You heard them on Octane or whatever, and then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, it's like there's a whole new lineup on Octane. And it's because it's just there's no staying power. There's no money in it anymore. These bands come out here on the road and they're paying to be out here, and you can only do that so long. I mean, eventually your kids are sick of doing homework in the dark, and you gotta go sell those shoes. It's
and the powers that be, they don't understand. They just keep taking the money.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They don't get it that this might not be here in 10, 15, 20 years.
Right. And like Ryan made an awesome point. It's like all of our favorite bands, like we were talking about, like your John Corabi shirt that you have on, like Motley Crue and Aerosmith and all, and they've been around for 20, 30, 40 plus years. And bands of today, it's like these kids go out and like they'll get a tattoo of their favorite band, and then the band will be broken up in 2 years or something like that. And it's just like they're disposable heroes now because they can't afford to keep it going, or they find a private investor or something, and that money runs out, and then they're done.
A DJ friend of mine actually said, her exact words were to me, "You think it's bad? It's tough on this end." She goes, "We get that list of bands to push," and she goes, "And every 3 months that basically changes because it's a whole other list of and some of those bands from that list I got 3 months ago aren't around anymore." So it's like, we all see it, we all feel it.
Don't get me started on that. They'll have one band and they'll play the one song from 20 years ago. Even though,
there's new stuff.
Case in point, and there's new stuff, they won't even touch it.
Right.
But they'll want to pimp you when you come into town.
Yeah.
That's just frustrating as hell. I get it. I don't get it.
Was there any weird, not weird, but was the transition back into the band normal? I assume.
I guess I never parted ways with a band and reformed together before. So as far as I know, it was very normal because it's the only thing that I know. There was no weirdness about it. We talked about it and basically just threw a date out there that we started tossing some music ideas back and forth. Well, no. It was the UK tour. So getting back together wasn't even part of it. It was, I'm in Drowning Pool. These guys are doing the SOiL thing. Would you like to get back together to do this one run, the 10th anniversary of Scars? And sure, sounded like a blast. So we did, and we just ended up having too much fun with it.
Yeah.
So once we got back to the States, I ended up parting ways with Drowning Pool, and there was still some time. That didn't have anything to do with us having fun. That was just I have a 7-year itch. So every 7 years asked my wife, she loved it. It was amazing. 7 years, it was done.
So we got 3 more years to figure out what we were going to do.
So I'll be dead before the end of this one. So I quit Drowning Pool, and the more we started talking, though, me, Tim, and Adam, the more we started realizing we were really on the same page with what we wanted to do musically. And we realized that if we were all at a point in our careers, if we wanted to do something musically, if we were going to do it, we wanted it to be in our hands and our control. And with Tim's knowledge of the industry being within it, none of us being necessarily stupid because we've all been able to survive in it for so long, but we were able to, in large parts because of Tim's inside knowledge, we were able to put together exactly what we wanted to do. So, but again, the original thing was just, hey, let's go do some shows.
Yeah.
So it wasn't weird at all. It was fun. It was cool to do those shows and look out and see people singing songs from 15 years ago. It was cool. It was really,
when we started just popping off the songs, for me and Adam at least, because we're the only two people that kind of lasted from the beginning to now, and it just felt so real again. Me and him were just like, what do we do with this brand? We've beaten it up a little bit, and then having Ryan come back, it's just like, wow, this this is SOiL again.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't wipe the smiles off our face on stage. It was great, and that's kind of the way we all
to
felt.
wear them off. And
Well, what's the status on the Into the Fire?
That was honestly, that's been a project that's been years in the making, and it was when SOiL was at a low point. Me and Adam called up a couple of friends and said, we're not really having any fun right now. You want to have some fun and write some songs? And we wrote these songs in 2010, and
Wow.
we just been sitting on them because Ryan came back to SOiL, and the other guys had other things, like Craig from ELS. He gave up on music altogether, and then Brian Scott had his own studio and stuff, and then finally we just kind of dug them back out and finished them, and they're finished now and done, and we're still sitting on them. So we were just going to release them for fun at some point. It's just a fun little music scratch, and a bunch of friends doing it from known bands. So I don't think we plan on doing any shows or anything with it. I think we're just going to maybe put a video and a couple songs out and just something for fun, a bunch of guys. But now it kind of seems like everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's got a super group, and everybody's from this band and that band. So I don't,
I'm too lazy.
I don't know the fun factor or the cool factor of it anymore, which we probably should have got on it 5 years ago when we were originally going to do it.
Yeah.
It's done. We'll probably slap it out at some point just for fun, That's that. We did come up with a cool logo for it, but that's about it.
I know. Have you seen any of the final Motley Crue shows?
Oh yeah, I've seen 3 of them.
Right.
And
I toured with them, did a video.
So you're
I'm good.
You're good.
Released a song, singing with them. I'm all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, were you part of the vocals on Saints or Underground or what it was? Or Saints of Los Angeles?
White Trash
Oh, White
Circus.
Trash, okay.
That's right.
And
Jeez, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
he was at the press conference
Okay.
and on the
Eat
Crew
lunch
Fest
every day.
and in the studio with it. My favorite band in history. It's my favorite musician in history.
The usual.
Hanging out every night with Tommy, eating lunch with Nikki
Yeah.
on a daily. Those little things.
Naturally, my dream
You
tour.
it just happen,
It sounds like this isn't the first time he's rubbed that in.
Oh, he rubs it in every chance he gets.
I was internally smiling as soon as you brought it up. I was like, okay. He said, "Well, Crue, watch this."
Right on. Very cool. We got anything else?
Yeah, I know most people don't look this far in the future, but it's only like a year and a half away now, your 20th anniversary. Are there any thoughts of plans for that, or just 20th anniversary as a band?
Oh yeah, it is. This
We'll probably get the whole group back.
I don't even say that. In January 2017 it'll be 20 years.
Right.
So maybe after we do the 15th anniversary of Scars, we'll do the 20th anniversary. So we got a lot to milk.
20th anniversary of all the stuff that we did before Scars that no one even knows exists.
Yeah, we got a lot of things to milk. We'll be around for a while, I hope.
Cool.
Fuck, I gotta live for a little bit longer.
Yeah, only a year and a half.
Oh, cool.
Well, thanks for doing this, guys.
No problem.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks
Nice
for
to
your
meet
time.
you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. Our interview with Tim and Ryan from SOiL. That's another good one, I think, and I'm glad we got the chance to do it. So thanks to both of them for being kind enough to take the time before their show to talk to us, and thanks to Jake, their tour manager, for helping us out.
Definitely, yeah. They were great. Their tour manager was great. Once again, a positive, fun experience. So we're glad to bring that to you guys.
Yeah, check them out online at soilmusic.com. You can also find them on Facebook at just SOiL. And also, while you're doing that, do yourself a favor and follow Ryan McCombs on Facebook as well. Like him, follow him, because the guy's got, literary gold on every post that he makes. Dude
is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll go on some little rants. Even on the SOiL page, I think he posts a lot. But on his personal page, it's some good stuff.
It's open season.
Yeah. Follow him on Twitter at Ryan McCombs. I don't think the band has a Twitter, at least from what I know. I could be totally wrong on that, but anyway, you can find him on Facebook and soilmusic.com, and then find us on Facebook at The Thunder Underground, and also find our website, thethunderunderground.com. YouTube and Instagram is also at The Thunder Underground. SoundCloud is Thunder-Underground. And I believe that's everything.
Did you cover our Twitter?
No, Twitter. Twitter, we can't fit all the whole word, there's only a certain amount of space, so it's THNDRUNDR ground. So there you go. And
That's right.
Jason got a text.
Yep, you'll hear that.
Right. Yeah.
So, whatever. But, thanks for listening, and, like and share.
And, of course, check out Omicida and check out SOiL. Check us out, thethunderunderground.com. Thanks again.